Pumped. Told our team last night in our first team meetings. I'm probably more excited about this fall camp than I can remember in a long time, and I think they sense that from our staff, and I sense it from them. So it's we had our first walkthrough last night, getting ready for our practice. Really, a practice today, this afternoon. So we'll have another walkthrough this morning. But just think they're locked in and excited about what I see in the chemistry in our building, and obviously hope we can have a physical camp but stay safe. And that's a challenge. But you can't win in this league without physical football, and so you have to have that. And we're going to pray that we can stay healthy as we go through it. But really excited about getting started, and I think it's evident all throughout the building as they walk around with the body language I see, which is a billboard for your attitude. And I'm excited to get really started today.
All right, raise your hand, we'll get you a microphone. If you could state your name and affiliation, I'd greatly appreciate it. Good, sorry about that.
Jason called Auburn cover up. Any update on Malcolm Simmons and kind of his,
Yeah.
his availability for you guys moving forward?
Yeah, based on the information that I've been given from our campus administration, who have knowledge of the matter, he's been cleared to participate in team activities.
Yeah, Jay Taylor with AuburnSports.com, and I'm part of the On3 Network. Tell me a little bit about this practice, the attitude the guys have, and do you have your entire group of guys ready to go? And is there anybody that's still out?
Yeah, Hollis is still. I think he gets to go in cleats today. Will be limited in practice. Devin Carter's ACL tear, and I think Jeremiah Cobb fractured a finger. So he's you'll see him in a cast that he'll be limited. Just we got to make sure we get that thing healed exactly right. So he'll be in a yellow jersey also. Other than that, I think we expect that there may be a few more yellow jerseys, but everybody else is participating.
Is Darrell 100%?
He's still one of those limited guys, but really, really close.
Jacob Owens, ESPN 1067 here in Auburn. When you look at the secondary, just from corners and safeties and even the nickel spot on paper, it's just loaded back there. So how do you and Coach Dirk can kind of decipher what are you looking for this fall and who's going to be playing in game one and throughout the year?
Well, you're glad you have the more depth where you're not, somewhat feeling like there's a drop off, when you do rotate people or if you do have an injury. And so I think every team at this level would be excited to have that type of depth, and we do. Now, we've got to figure out, what their seat is on the bus. Who are the best nickels and who are the best safeties and who are the best corners. And I think we've got one thing I know, we've increased our length and we've increased our speed and our depth. So that's exciting to us, and now we got to figure out exactly all the pieces of where they go, and getting Champ back, he's finally cleared. We might limit some of his reps, but it gives us some flexibility because some of those guys can play multiple positions. We think Jay and Kaylee had fine years last year, but two's not enough. And so I like that room. I like the fact that we have more length, and when you think about even the young guys like Woodby and Starr, I think they're going to be good. But obviously Pleasant and Strader are guys that have experience and can play multiple spots back there. So and then you got the safety rotation too that I think is a lot deeper now. We're going to depend on some young kids to play there, but excited about the fact that we have some options.
Just first and Auburn observer, you guys have, I think, 6 guys on your offensive line who've been multi-year starters in the power conference level, but just the added depth there in the versatility, how much you like that? What do you want to see from that group specifically here in camp? I know you've been excited about them all summer.
Yeah, I think we're in the best position we've been there also, and I actually got an NFL grade back from the first guy that's been here, and he has all 5 of those guys draftable. That are projected to be starters plus 2 tall. So I think there's high expectations on that group to be able to run the football and protect the passer. And obviously protection is not always just the O-line. We've got to get our backs and tight ends to be convinced that they're a huge part of that too, and our quarterback setting it the right direction. But it would be there's no running from it. We're not going to understate it. We expect that group to be a solid group for us.
Yeah, Bill Cameron with the Drive on ESPN 106.7. You had just about everybody here this spring, just a handful of guys that had come in. Just talk about how quick you expect them. You mentioned Rayshawn a little while ago, Jay and James on the defensive line, Caleb, and then Ashton at quarterback.
Yeah, and Jay Hardy also on that, and Duke. I guess that's probably the late arrivals. Probably easier for those DBs than it is quarterback and a receiver. But I expect the DBs not to really. They were here long enough for us to have those endo and install meetings that we had throughout the summer to, I think, somewhat catch up. And so I don't really, not as concerned about the D linemen and the DBs. It will be, it's a lot more to learn at receiver and quarterback for sure for those late arrivals. But Ashton's really sharp, and Duke will catch on. But the D linemen and DBs, I really not concerned about their learning curve.
JoeGoodmanAL.com. Who exactly cleared Malcolm to practice with the team, and did they talk with Malcolm girlfriend?
Like I said earlier, based on the information I've been given from the administration, he's cleared to practice, and that's all the information I have.
Hugh, Jacob Waters, Blake Auburn News. Obviously, you all had to play a lot of freshmen last year. Do you anticipate a lot of freshmen playing in this year, and maybe early in the season, who are some of those guys that could crack the rotation?
Yeah, the fortunate thing in that is we played a lot of freshmen last year that are talented and that, will have another year under their belt. And you would hope you can get to a point pretty quick after a couple of recruiting classes that the dependence is not on just freshmen like it was somewhat last year at certain spots. So I hope we can bring, Sam has done a heck of a job at receiver, but that room is deep. But man, he's playing really, really well. Duke is really, really talented. But again, there's some depth there that you would hope you can slowly bring those guys along and not throw people out there until they're ready. Same in Deuce's case. You want him to be ready because he is a really big talent. And so, and then you look at the D-line, I do expect Crawford and Autry to I don't know how many plays. I think what we're looking at in that D-line right now is more depth than we've had. But I think they need to buy into, and again, we hadn't started camp yet, so I could change this tune, but I'm hopeful that they'll buy into, man, give us 15 plays that are your fanatical best and be able to rotate those guys and then them do the right assignment with incredible effort. And I think with that depth we have, if they can buy into that, I think that's going to be better for them and for the team. So I do expect a couple of those young ones. Linebacker, expect Menendez to be in the mix there. Safeties, we got the 2 young, Winters and New Boy that I think, and I already mentioned those 2 freshman corners. That's probably Kel Ellis is going to be a really good football player. Is it ready this year? I don't know, but we like those freshmen too. But obviously we have a class in front of them that has a little more experience, so we'll have to see how that goes.
Hugh, Peter Ryder, Casale.com. The backup quarterback spot, how, I guess, open level is that competition between Ashton and Deuce? And do you guys plan on naming a clear backup, or is that going to be more of just a situational thing?
Probably situational. You know, Ashton has a ton of experience with +1 runs at quarterback and with obviously throwing the football. He put up some really, really good numbers rushing wise in a good league. So I think you have to look at that a little differently. That I'm not really wanting to throw Deuce out there and call quarterback runs. Not that he can't do it, but you know you want him to be ready for all of that. And so Ashton probably, you know, you look at certain roles or certain situations. I think there's two different deals going on. If I need somebody to go in and throw a vertical route, Deuce may be the better option there. But so I think everything's situational there.
Bring it up front by Phil and then Brian.
You, obviously, these being different days, when you got transfers every year, basically. All you guys talk a lot about culture and those kinds of things. How much of a challenge is it to develop that when you have that guys coming in here and obviously they expect to play or they probably wouldn't be here?
Yeah, I think that's every coach's challenge right now. And once you get a depth chart that is close to equal to those that you're playing, I do think culture and chemistry will make a difference. And, you know, that's something we work hard at and are very, very transparent with, that I'm not naive, but for a given year, like I told them last night, why not go all in? For this given time, we have committed to be a family. We've committed to be a team. And irregardless of whatever the outside noise is for you and when things start and you're not getting your time, you know, are you really all in? I mean, and for life, that is a great lesson, is to choose to be all in with those that you're with, where your feet are, where they're planted, and make that the best situation there can be. And then, heck, the next year we'll evaluate that again. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But for this period of time, I know from living, and you know from living, that, man, the best thing anyone can do is be the best at where you are with the situation that you have. And being at Auburn University is a pretty dang good situation for a young man to have and to be blessed to be at, to get an education and to be blessed by whatever it is that is agreed upon through other sources, revenue sharing, NIL, whatever that is. Man, what a blessing you have. And man, don't forfeit that blessing because the mental battles that can come with all the noise that you can see. You know, I told them last night, one of the things I'm convinced of is we have too many men that spend more time scrolling than they do sleeping. And, you know, and it is a mental battle and it's a mental game. And I think the teams and staff that do the best at changing the mindset to buy into, man, we are a team for this given period of time. And we get to represent one of the greatest universities and greatest fans in the country. Man, do not waste this moment, these moments that we have to stack these days to be prepared for those opportunities.
Did you ask DJ to take it easy on Jackson Arnold in the spring?
Yes.
And does that have to change during fall camp?
Yeah, I used to be so dogmatic back when, of course, you know, I used to just go tempo, and see how, and man, I was proud if we had 95 plays a game, you know, and we scored a bunch of points, and that's the way I started as an OC and carried that over from all my days at Lambeth, Arkansas State, and then at the beginning of the Ole Miss tenure. And then you start kind of finding out, maybe if I'd have managed the clock a little different there, we'd have won another game or two. And so I obviously have changed that somewhat. And I also used to be very adamant. The number one priority of practice is for our quarterback to leave that field confident. And I am going back to that this year, and DJ's been awesome. I mean, you know, the respect I have for him and the job he's going to do, and we just got. I think we've got to be really intentional about what are we doing in this period, and making sure that our quarterbacks have an adequate chance to really be prepared to have success in it, and not try to win a drill, but try to get better in every scenario. And if it is, you know, dirty ball period where everything's being thrown at the quarterback, the quarterback should know that, and that's fine. But if it's not that, then let's work together to make sure we're preparing him. I mean, I think the worst thing we could do for any quarterback, and Jackson in this case, is to go out and practice this afternoon, and we have scripted plays that had zero chance of success because obviously we're not game planning right now for our defense. But so I think we've done a better job, Nix and DJ, of working together on, all right, what are we doing this period, and let's see if we can defend it, and let's see if we can execute it with the quarterback being really prepared for that, if that makes sense.
Three questions along TVs.
Hugh Davis Baker, WSP Montgomery. The football Twitter account put out a video asking players to describe their mood for fall camp with one word. A lot of players said expectant because that's a word you've been using. Assuming that's true, why is expectant the right word?
It's kind of the word that I go away, as most of you know, and spend a little time in this cabin in the mountains that I've done for a long time, and just I think through, all right, what am I going to teach this year? What are the themes each week? What is the overriding word? That's the word I came up with, and I think everybody's kind of following that lead, and we are expectant. We're expecting being a really good football team that competes in every single game and has a chance to win every game, and hopefully we're better in those critical moments, and we flip some of those close losses into wins, and we're expecting of that, and hopefully our kids are following that. And you know, I'm teaching a proverb a day: keep stupid away during camp, and hopefully that impacts all of us also in life and in football. But the overriding theme is expectant, so I'm glad the kids are listening and they feel the same.
Julie Mitchell, WVTM 13 Birmingham. Coach, you talked a bit last year with Peyton about knowing your mind, knowing what you want out of this offense, out of that spot. I'm interested just where Jackson's at in terms of that, and what do you want to see here in the fall?
I think he's in a good spot. We obviously had a ton of walkthroughs throughout the summer. We had one last night. We watched it this morning. He was 100% in setting the protections, accuracy. The only thing that is, probably not real clear right now, and we talked about it last night, he and I, on the field, is, knowing, you're not in a game plan situation when you're in walkthroughs, but all right, it's 3rd and 1. Coach, what? Tell me your mind right here when you have this run called and it has RPOs on it. What are you thinking? And, that's a long answer, truthfully, because it depends on field position, score of the game. Are we going for it on 4th down? Do we like that matchup out there with the receiver? So there's a lot of things that we still have to talk through as you start getting ready for games, and even in the course of the game. The good thing is, you do have access to talk to him until 15 seconds is left, and so, it could be some of those situations where it is 3rd and short, and I tell him, you're free. You're free. You got Cam out there matched up one-on-one. You're free. Or no, get the first down. So there's some of those things that we really don't know each other's. He don't know exactly what I'm thinking yet, but we hadn't really got into that. But as far as, all right, does Coach want me to get this protected here and throw this, or truly run the ball? I think he's in a good spot of understanding our mind. That credit goes to Kent and Jesse, probably more than me, of them preparing him for that.
Johnny Condon, ABC 3340 Sports in Birmingham. You went out in the portal and got Eric Singleton. How big of a compliment is he going to be to Cam Coleman in the sense that secondary is going to have to focus on two guys on the outside?
We're thrilled we got Eric. I love his work ethic. Love talking to him. He's got a great demeanor about him. He loves the game. And, you know, I don't want to just, I mean, yes, we can highlight him because he is a heck of a player, but you've got some others. Malcolm and Perry and Horatio and Sam and Bryce, all those guys are getting better and better and better. And so I think we've got a really good stable, but Eric definitely adds a little different dimension to it that I think is going to benefit us.
Dan Pack, ESPN 106.7 in Auburn. You got 3 tough road games in the first 5. How does that change preseason practice, preparation, and all over the next month?
It won't change these first couple of weeks. I mean, you got to do what you do to get ready and get everything installed. Then I think it does, start, you prepare for that first one, which is a big one against a really, really good football team that's, by many are picked to be in their conference championship game. And so that's a great test for us, and it'll be a night game on a Friday night, so that changes things. So our whole fall camp is changed based on that, because typically you would have Saturday as those, quote, scrimmage days and Sundays as an off day, and it's exactly flipped for us through camp. We'll have Friday as those days and Saturday as the off day, because the normal week when we get to there is going to be, Sunday through Friday. So the whole camp is designed for that, and that's really the only game. I couldn't even tell you who the other 2 are against, truthfully, on the road right now. I just know that first one, and we got to get ready for it.
Coach, can you talk about the state of preparedness your team is in right now compared to your first 2 years? You've got a game coming up. You settled on the quarterback pretty early. How ready is this team to execute the concepts that you're going to want to? And will this look like a Hugh offense this year?
I think we've done all we could to this point, starting back in February. Dom gave us a little of the 8 hours to spend 30 minutes here and there, even back in February with our team. And I think that's paid dividends, and we've stayed really consistent in not trying to do too much. I think that's been a problem. I think it's the second year in the same system on both sides, which has been beneficial to particularly those young kids. We haven't had to change things on kids, and it's the same verbiage, same people, same talk. And so it feels, we'll see today when we go out there and go to some team stuff, how many MAs and stuff there are, but it certainly feels like we're much further along than maybe years past.
Hey Coach, Emily Grace McWhorter from the next round. You mentioned those expectations earlier. What do you think has been the biggest hindrance on meeting those expectations in years past for this team, and how does that change this season?
Yeah, I think the whole deal will be they are expectant and they do have confidence, but it's not until that confidence is credible that you really grow. And the only way for it to be credible is first have success out here in fall camp doing things and finding out this is who we are, we can do this, and our players know we can do this. And but then when it really takes off is when you have success in the win column. And that's what we've got to go do to really, I think this team has a chance to be a really, really exciting team to watch. Particularly can they get a win or 2 under their belt that even grows that confidence that they have right now. But right now they've got a pretty good swagger about them, and hopefully we can grow that throughout camp by the success we have, but really go get a W, and then they'll really be confident.
The Auburn Blitz. Coach, how's your health been so far? How are your energy levels coming into this camp?
Yeah, I feel as good for this camp as I probably have in years. I don't I don't think anything about the health right now, whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent. Now I talked to docs. I had 3 of them text me yesterday, and they're awesome. I got a great team around me, but I just don't have any knowledge. I mean, I don't feel sick, and so my wife's got me taking all kind of natural things that supposedly may cure prostate cancer, and we hope it does. We'll recheck it in January and see where things are. But other than an old back, I feel great. Sometimes it gets a little tight, but I had that deal at Liberty where I had the infection get in, and I'm always going to have some arthritis there. But my energy's good. I feel great and excited about camp.
Wrap up with a couple follow-ups, Jason.
You mentioned faster team, but this is a bigger team, and running backs all over 200 pounds now. Has that been by design to be a bigger group of guys, especially on the line scrimmage?
Yeah, I don't really get hung up on the running backs' weight, but it is good that you have some that have some girth to them. But there's no doubt you need length and girth in this league up front, and I think at linebacker too. And it helps if you have it in the secondary. I tell guys all the time when they're recruiting these guys from an offensive perspective, when we're talking about open receivers, length matters. Both sides, you can have a shorter receiver that's actually winning a route by 2 yards, but the length of that DB gives it, and according to that receiver, it gives you no window. The quarterback doesn't really feel like that's a window. Whereas if the receiver is here and the DB's there, I see that window. And so length matters there, and it certainly matters up front. When you're rushing guys on the defensive front who have some length to them, it's uncomfortable for the quarterback. When Jared Smith even if he's blocked, that window is a little cloudy because of the length. And so we've added that at tackle on offense too. Inside, Jay and all those 2 guys we brought in, they have more length and girth to them. Autry, and you can't have that in every single one of them, but I think our length at linebackers gotten longer and faster. And so that's that's by design. You want more length and girth at particularly a lot of positions.
You guys went out and got Caleb Wheatland after spring ball. I just want to ask about him specifically. What made you guys want to go out and get him, and what are you kind of expecting from him at that linebacker spot?
Just felt like we like our linebackers that we have, but felt like the youth needed some experience. And you go get a guy that started a bunch of games in Power 4 football and is a really good kid and good player. You just felt like, man, you need somebody to add to that youth in that room. Woodger's still young. Melendez is still young. That I think they're going to be 2 really good Mike linebackers, but can we get one that has some experience? And that's what we got in Caleb.
Coach, thank you for your time.
Yep. Thank you, guys.